It's 12:15. You know what that means. It is time for the sports hour and we're on time today. Hooray. Feels good. I'm ready to go. We should have a pretty fun day. Um Sadly, we do have to start with some sad news, but before we get into that, I guess we'll talk about what else will be going on today as we got the Blue Jay game from last night to talk about. We'll also dabble in the Red Sox and the Yankees game as well. And then we will get into some AEW Dynamite review from last night, as that was a bonkers show. Very good. And then NFL Week 2, as that starts tonight. We'll talk about the game that is tonight, and then we will talk later on about, well, I think Friday we'll talk about, the rest of the games that are going to be on this weekend. But I know that I'll have some stat predictions for you guys. So, should be a fun episode. Just going to be making sure everything is up and running all smooth and good as per usual. As this is a solo show, I'm here on my own. And I always find it funny that it's almost become a daily occurrence at this point that right around, I don't know, right around 12:15, 12:10, my phone, like my friends will all be like, yeah, let's wake up, and then like get really active on texting and whatnot. And I love it. I love texting my friends, and we were going over some fun stuff today. Most recently with Nolan, who was on the show, we were talking about a pick'em league that we're in, a survivor league. No, pick'em, where you have to pick based on the spread every week. And in a league of like 200 plus people, one guy stands alone in first place. Nolan, who was on the show last week, or 2 weeks ago at this point. No, last week. He is 4 points away from first. I think I'm 8 points away from first. So, in the hunt, Nolan's got some optimism. I have less optimism. I feel like I'm a blindfolded man throwing darts at a dartboard. But we'll see moving forward. I mean, I will always pick the Panthers spread until last week that burned me. We'll see what happens this week. Of course, I think it's plus 6.5. So just as long as the score is within a touchdown, spread hits for the Panthers. And you know what? It's the Cardinals. I think we can whoop them. Why not? I think if we clean up some of the bad mistakes we made, some of the fixable mistakes we made, might I add, we should be able to beat this Cardinals team. I have no doubt in my mind. So, looking forward to that. And then the other thing I was chatting with before going on, oh yes, and it's a wrestling thing, so we'll definitely talk about it more later. But it's the announcement of WrestleMania, I think 2027. One of the next few WrestleManias will be in Saudi Arabia. So, sorry to the women on the roster. Sorry to any of the LGBTQ people on the roster. And I'm sorry to any fan of wrestling. Because that sucks. Now it's like, I don't know. I think Vince McMahon was a horrible, horrible human being who should never be in power, should never be in charge again. But he never tried actively to destroy WWE, it felt like. Or at least ruin the feeling that WWE had. I mean, he booked horrible programming, sure. And did horrible things behind the scenes. But his, business stuff was, I mean, we never liked it. He always wanted to monopolize. He sucks, too. There's no defending Vince McMahon, but I guess we're just comparing evil to evil because in my eyes, I feel like Triple H is doing more to ruin the feeling that WWE has and has had for years. I can't stand the company anymore. So regardless, we'll go talk about some actual sports. And sadly, we do have to start on a sad news. Well, I guess it's good news because, hey, great career. But Anthony Rizzo, I'm not going to turn around, but this is a Rizzo jersey. Yeah, I'm not turning around. Anthony Rizzo has decided to retire from the game of baseball. After a great career, he ended it battling concussions, horribly so. I mean, an undiagnosed concussion he plays through for 2-3 months, and it just tanks his stats and kind of ruins his career. And it's too bad because even on the Yankees, he was a great player still when non-injured. So Shout out to Anthony Rizzo, one of my favorite players to watch growing up as a baseball fan from 2015, 2016 onwards. Just, one of my guys, him and Chris Bryant, both Cubs guys. And neither have done so good since leaving the Cubs. So, retirement for Anthony Rizzo, some sad news, but also some good news because, hey, what a career. Hopefully Hall of Famer, if not Hall of Very Good, very soon. As we will move on to other Blue Jay and baseball news. So, those Blue Jays. That game last night. Not my cup of tea, typically. If you didn't watch the game, it was a 3-2 loss for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Houston Astros would jump all over us early, scoring 1 run in the 2nd and scoring another run in the 6th inning. Barrios would be the starter. We'll get into that later. We'll just more so talk about the game as the offense didn't get going until the 8th inning. 8th inning, we didn't get anything. Their pitcher, a guy who I'm learning about yesterday, Jason Alexander. Who are you? A relief pitcher. It says relief pitcher on his thing, but he's been starting this year. No, never mind. Right-handed pitcher. That's on me. Yeah, he's been starting this year, I guess. I've been living under a bridge, a rock. Not a bridge, I'm not a troll. But I've been living under a rock as Jason Alexander goes 7 innings against us. No earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 hits. We went 7 innings, 3 hits. That was it. We'd score 2 runs in the 8th to tie up the game and actually give us a shot at winning this putrid game that we were playing, which is hilarious. So, we'll talk about that before we, really get into it. And that was a really good bottom of the 8th as we would start off with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa getting a single. Ernie Clement struck out, which sucks because he's 2 for 3 and had a very good game. And then a single by Ty France. So there's 2 base runners on. And then a single by Jimenez, which would score the first run of 2. Great piece of hitting by Jimenez. He was 2 for 3 as well on the day. Or maybe better, but with the RBI, I mean, surprising. He's not a guy that, you really expect to be hitting like that. Then George Springer would strike out. He was not good in this game. That's my fault. I sung his praises a little too much, I think. But with 2 outs, Nathan Lucas would deliver on a single that would score our 2nd run, tying the game 2-2 and setting us up to potentially win. Why is Jeff Hoffman in the MLB? Why is he a professional baseball player still? Why is he not playing in Buffalo? Why has he not been DFA'd like Chad Green? Why do I have to watch him blow game after game after game? I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. He comes up in the top of the 9th. I don't get why. I don't get why we don't put Sir Anthony Dominguez in. Oh, short rest. Jeff Hoffman pitched in the top of the 10th last game, too. Both these guys have pitched last game. They both pitched the same amount of innings. First batter was a line out sharply to center on 6 pitches. And the first pitch of the at-bat, uncompetitive ball. Why does he always do that? You might as well just not have a bat when you go up against Jeff Hoffman on the first pitch. You might as well just walk up there with your hands naked. You don't even need bang gloves. You don't need a uniform. He's not going to throw the pitch anywhere near the strike zone. The second pitch actually does get the strike zone though, so third pitch, way outside, worse than the first pitch. You're already now down in the count. Gets a swinging strike on a bad pitch. Shout out to him for that. Then a ball on a pitch in the exact same spot. He's not going to swing at a ball in the exact same spot twice, you idiot. And then we'd get the line out. So, hey. Also, it was the exact same pitch 2 times in a row in the exact same location. A splitter at the shins. I don't get it. I don't get this pitcher as the next man up with 1 out. Diaz would crank a solo 385-foot home run to win the game, because in the ninth inning, we'd have a flyout, a lineout, and a strikeout as the Blue Jays get hunted, they get poached, they get killed, as we lose 3-2 in what is a fantastic game that makes me so optimistic for the playoffs. Oh, I love my favorite player in the whole league, Jeff Hoffman. Keep coming into games for me. Please do it. Yeah. And I'm losing my mind over here. I'm genuinely losing my mind as a fan of this team that they keep giving this guy chances and opportunities when he's proven time and time again that he cannot live up to the moment, and he will fold under pressure, and he will lose us ball games constantly. I don't get it. It's the definition of insanity. We keep putting this guy in, and he does the same thing over and over and over and over again. Once every maybe 4 or 5 games, 20% of the time, this guy will find the nut. But I'm so sick of the other 3 to 4 other times when he is a nut himself. So, not happy with Jeff Hoffman. Happy with the rest of the bullpen, though. As we do look at that game, and we do look at the bullpen, Fisher would pitch an inning, no hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Great stuff, Fisher. Varland, a inning and a third, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, no runs. And then Little would get a out in there. He'd get a walk and he'd get an out, no runs. Okay, good. I can live with that. I can absolutely live with that. Why not? Yeah, sure. Cool. Cool. What I can't live with is Jeff Hoffman. 1 hit, 1 earned run, because it was a home run. I cannot live with that. So, you know what I can't? I will live with Barrios, who, playoff ready? Absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. 5 1/3 innings pitched. 5 hits, 1 hit an inning, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, the 1 home run he gave up. I'm good with that. 2 outs. He gets us to the 6th inning on, well, not quite the 6th, but no. 5 full innings and 1 out in the 6th. He gets us all the way there and only allows 2 runs, I'm cool with that. Our offense is good enough where that shouldn't be a difference maker. Or at least it shouldn't be the nail in the coffin, 2 runs. And it wasn't. We scored 2 runs. We answered the call. We did that for Barrios. We're like, okay, you gave us a ball game we can win. We'll do the rest. And they did. They got, well, they didn't. They didn't at all, actually. But, they got close. They gave him the 2 runs. They didn't give him the win, but they gave him the 2 runs. So Barrios, playoff ready. And if I'm, my 3 for the playoffs, we talk about it all the time. Gausman, Barrios, Bieber. Those are my guys. Officially. Sorry, Max Scherzer. If you have a good game, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be the starter today, if my brain is correct. No, it's Kevin Gausman. I'm good with that. I'm always cool with a little Kevin Gausman action. The next start that Max Scherzer is going to get is going to be, looks like Saturday against the Orioles. So we'll keep our eye on that. If he plays good Saturday, he might earn that 3rd spot over Barrios, over Bieber. And then also Friday is Bassett starts. So we'll also keep our eye on that game Friday and see if Bassett can pitch a gem. And if he can, then why not give it to him? I don't know. I like the starting pitchers for the playoffs, but I got a bad feeling about them. If we're being honest with each other, I got a bad feeling about the playoffs. I really do. It's the fact that we can never, ever seem to get all 3 things that I keep, spouting off about to, align. And I like to try to simplify baseball as much as I can to to relate it to the masses, people who don't maybe not have ever played baseball, people who watch baseball very casually, people who only keep up with the highlights and don't get why there's not home runs every single game. Because as a kid, that was how I was. And I know there's tons of people who basically, if there's no home runs and there's no diving catches, there might as well not be baseball. That's how it is for a lot of people. And so to simplify baseball for those people, I would just say to win a game, you do need the bats. You need those singles, those doubles, those home runs. You do need those. You need those moments. And we do. We get those regularly, I'd say. Someone steps up for this Blue Jay team every game. Then you need starting pitching. Starting pitching has been one of the best parts of this team lately. It's something that we argue. I argue with myself and I argue with you guys in the chat about basically on a daily occurrence of who should start in the playoffs because we're that rich in starters. It feels good. It's a rare feeling. We don't have that genuine number one Cy Young winner ace, but I think Kevin Gausman can step up into that role. And who knows, when the playoff rolls around, maybe Scherzer turns back the clock. Maybe Bieber resumes his Cy Young form that he had years ago. I'm going to look that up because I know Shane Bieber for a fact, was in the Cy Young voting. As I take a drink of water, he's only 30, which is kind of shocking to me for a baseball player. I thought he was older because he's been around for forever now. I think he made his debut super young. He did. He made his debut in the league at 23 years old. By the age of 24, in 2019, he had a 4.8 WAR as a starter, 15 wins. He led the league in complete games. He had led the league in shutouts, 3 complete games, 2 shutouts. Pitched 214 innings. This guy was unreal. 144 ERA plus in his second year as a 24-year-old. That's 44% else better than the average pitcher. He came second in Cy Young voting and was an all-star. 2020, the shortened year, 3.2 WAR in, oh my goodness, 12 games. Keep in mind, the year before, he had 4.8 WAR in 34 games. So not even half, more than half that. He led the league in WAR. He had 8 wins, led the league in wins, led the league in ERA with a 1.63 in those 12 games. And keep in mind, this is the COVID shortened year. Had the most strikeouts in the league at 122 strikeouts, but didn't lead the league in innings pitched. That's just how good he was. ERA plus 273. That's one of the best all time. And I know, shortened year. Statistics are different. But still, that's a season. That's a season. In baseball history, that's a season of work, technically. It's not the record. I think Pedro Martinez has the record. But his FIP led the league. His home runs over 9 was the lowest. His strikeouts over 9 was the highest. He had a 14.2 strikeouts over 9 and was the Cy Young in the American League. And then in 2021, he was an all-star yet again. And then in 2022, he won Gold Glove as a pitcher. Who cares? And was 7th in Cy Young voting. And then since then, he's suffered injuries. But if he can bounce back, I have no doubts in the world, in my mind, that this guy could be an ace in the playoffs. So adding him was maybe super underrated. I feel like it's not underrated at this point. Blue Jays have been raving about him, and the fans, media, the team itself. Everyone loves Shane Bieber. And I heard from someone in the media that apparently he's a great locker room guy. It was during the game that he's a great guy in the locker room, and he knows a lot of the guys from Cleveland already, like Jimenez and a couple other names. So he fits in really well. Could be an ace, especially if he's comfortable. Let's do it. Let's roll with that in the playoffs. So Bieber, Gausman, they're my locks. They're my locks for the playoffs. And then after that, hey, take your pick. Really, take your pick. You could go with any of the remaining 3 guys, and I feel like I can't dispute that. So I'm trying to think. Is there any more pressing issues with this Blue Jays team? Well, the offense, because when the bullpen was coming alive and the stars were working, we were losing games 3-1, which is frustrating. So That's why I'm also worried about the playoffs because, again, we can never get all three to work. The last thing that needs to work in the three, we just talked a lot about starting pitching, is the bullpen. And right now, it is working other than Jeff Hoffman. So, hey, get Jeff Hoffman out of there. And I actually really like the bullpen moving forward. But we seem to have this over-reliance on him, this supreme trust in this guy that we should never trust. I don't get why we do. But yeah, so moving forward into the playoffs, who knows? Who knows? But I got a bad feeling that it's not going to line up. At least it's not going to line up 3 times in a 5-game series and 4 times in a 7-game series. As we will move on to our AEW Dynamite review. This was a amazing episode. I loved it. I was having a great time watching this. And we'd kick it off with the world champ, Hangman Adam Page, facing off against Josh Alexander, what was labeled a grudge match. I don't know why. I'll be honest with you. Don't really know why. I mean, they've been fighting a lot, yeah. I don't know, but it started with a hockey fight, which was cool in Philadelphia. Big, Flyers, big fighting team. Loved that. And then, of course, it's Josh Alexander. He's Canadian. Of course he's going to do a hockey fight. It's awesome. And this was a really fun match. These two were going at it. Big strikes, big throws. Hangman hit one of the most brutal looking deadeyes that we've ever seen from him. I think it was on the apron. He just plants him. These guys were throwing each other around and honestly, kind of the beefiest Hangman has felt in a while. He felt like he was actually using his weight and throwing his size around. Not that he wasn't against Mox and MJF, but like in this match, I'm like, oh yeah, he's got size. He's got muscles as he's just, he's suplexing him, like belly to belly, like a couple other, like just throwing him around. And then of course, he loves to do his big spin attacks, which that's my one thing where I'm like, there was one time on the apron, he did a spin punch. I'm like, he didn't need to do that. That's my only thing. He loves his spin. It builds his momentum. Oh, and to start the show, we had, yes, Bryan Danielson making his way down because he was on commentary, and he will be on commentary for Dynamite moving forward. Yeah, this was a great match. Lance Archer, Rocky Romero started getting involved. But instead, Hangman knocks them away, hits the buckshot lariat, and then defeats Josh Alexander in a really fun, really beefy, hard-hitting match to kick off Dynamite. Afterwards, Hangman pops on the mic, does a little promo, talking about that, the most important thing is wrestling, and that's what he's here to do because he's the champion and whatnot. And then Kyle Fletcher comes out, and then they, bicker, and chatter. Hangman says, hey, how about you get in the ring so I could say what I want to your face? And he does. Kyle Fletcher says, all right, I'm here. What are you going to say? And then he says, and then the crowd says, where are your socks, young man? You're not wearing any socks, which, yeah, he wasn't. It was very distracting. His ankles were out. And then Hangman says that he's not ready, and that he needs to find socks himself, which is very funny. And then the rest of the arena was chanting he's not ready. And then there's a small subsection of the crowd that I wish I was in that was chanting, yes, he is. Because he is. He looks awesome. He has a great promo skills. He's great in ring. I feel like Don Callis right now singing his praises because this young man, he is the future of the wrestling industry. He's 6'4", 250. I'm turning into Jesse Ventura when I do my Don Callis. But yeah, so like he looked, I don't know. I think it's going to be a great match, and I think that's 2 years in a row, and I don't think it is. I'm confirming it right now, that we're getting the men's world title facing off against the TNT title at All Out. Last year, it was Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry, and now this year, it's going to be Hangman versus Fletcher. So yeah, at All Out, we're going to have a very good match between those two guys. I can't wait. Hangman is obviously going to win, but, I love Kyle Fletcher regardless. then afterwards, we cut backstage to a little promo from MJF, who is pissed that he's working instead of on his honeymoon, and he says that he was married to the game long before he was married to Alicia Atut, his new wife. Shout out to him still for getting married and whatnot. But he says that he's married to hate. He's married to vengeance, like he's Batman. And so he says that he can't have his honeymoon until he kills Mark Briscoe. And then he's gonna say, "I do," like his wedding to whatever stipulation Briscoe has in store. And this was an awesome promo. This is a really phenomenal promo from MJF. He had the like insane bit going on that he's been doing right now. It seems like he's like losing it, and it's been really captivating. So shout out MJF, great promo. Afterwards, we'd cut to the Young Bucks in catering, as they were talking to Renee for a bit. And then they're complaining about being broke because obviously broke bucks are funny. I love the broke bucks. They go to sit in catering. They meet up with Brandon Cutler, and Brandon Cutler says "screw you" to the Young Bucks, which is full circle moment for him. And then they go and sit on their own when Jon Moxley and the Death Riders roll up, and everyone scurries away and leaves, which is very funny. And then they say, "If we win the match, you get all the money. All $500K. And they're like, oh, okay, sounds good. And then they came ready to win. They came ready to fight, which, of course, would happen later. But hey, now we know the Young Bucks very invested in this match because they get $250K each. Then we move on to a tag team match, the one that was promised, the one of the few matches that was like announced, one of the 4. I guess all the matches were announced. Good for them. They're learning. I love to hear that. I really do. Something I've complained about endlessly and endlessly and endlessly. They're actually starting to announce tons and tons of matches. Speaking of this one, which was the tag team match with Riho and Alex Windsor, facing off against Mercedes Moné and Emi Sakura. And Riho and Alex Windsor would pick up the win in this one. So, shout out to them. Good to see that. It's a fun match, a little clunky. It didn't feel like they had a lot, like it felt like they had spots and whatnot, and like the individual one-on-one stuff was pretty good, but it wasn't a very seamless match as tag matches should be. It felt like a bunch of singles matches, kind of like in a row. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't my favorite match. I think the 8-woman match from last week from Collision was a whole lot better. Yeah, I think that one, it could have been better. Could have been worse. I mean, they're fine. Sets up for Riho versus Moné. That's the big thing there. Riho tapped out Sakura, which is, her mentor. So, big moment for Riho. So, I'll give her that. As after the match, we cut backstage to Ricochet, who offers a gentleman's agreement to Shelton Benjamin to fight him one-on-one, not having the GOA and not having the rest of the Hurt Syndicate be at ringside and not having them interfere. And we'll see. As Renee narrates a little breakdown of how many impressive statistics are behind the FTR and Cope and Christian, their tag teams, as the Hockey Night in Canada music was playing. Yeah, very exciting. I love that. It was ridiculous. But for all my hockey fans out there, super cool, super fun. And 2 storied tag teams kind of made me realize FTR has only won the tag belts 2 times. That's criminal. How they've only won it twice and not champions right now? Whatever. We cut backstage again to Shelton Benjamin, who asked the Hurt Syndicate about the response to the gentlemanly agreement, and Shelton Benjamin takes over on the mic and says, "Don't worry, guys, I got this. We'll do a one-on-one." There's a painful plan for Ricochet. As we cut to the match, Ricochet beats Shelton Benjamin. But It was not a one-on-one. That gentleman's agreement split, broken, which no surprise, it's Ricochet. He's the I love Ricochet. I love to hate Ricochet. It's one of my favorite things. So great match. Give it up for Ricochet. He's awesome. And then Shelton Benjamin, I mean, timeless wonder. He's awesome. His kicks look like they legitimately were killing Ricochet. His suplexes were, he's throwing him around. And there's a couple ones where it wasn't so much he was throwing him, but he was just slamming him as hard as he could. And it was really fun to watch. Eventually, the scissors got busted out. And the crowd started chanting EC dub. Of course, because they wanted to see someone die. Shelton eventually stole him from Ricochet. Ricochet laying on the ground. I thought Shelton was going to be like Dexter and plunge them into his chest and murder him in the ring. He didn't. So I was wrong. He instead broke the scissors in half, threw them away, and wrestled him normally. Dang it. I thought I was cooking. That's when the GOA would come out. Gates of Agony. One of them would distract the ref. The other one would beat up Shelton. Set up the win for Ricochet. And after the match, Ricochet, he won. Hurt Syndicate would come down. After the match, Shelton would lay out Ricochet with a big kick, and Ricochet would sell it all the way to the back. He was just dead while this big brawl was happening, and he's getting carried away, and his arms are just up, and he's like, And it looked damn hilarious. It was, oh my god, I love Ricochet so much. He's easily one of the best characters on the entire show every week. So yeah. 10 days out, we're going to get a phenomenal trios match there. And we already have, I think, 6 or 7 matches announced for All Out. Can I do them all? No. Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher for the AW Men's World title. And then that's also the TNT title being taken up. There's a unified trios match that's going to happen between Okada, Fletcher, and either Mortos or Masco Dorado. There's going to be the women's main event match, which is a 4-way for the title. There's going to be the TBS match with Monet and Riho. There's going to be Edge and Christian versus FTR. There's going to be Darby versus Moxley in the Coffin match. There's going to be GOA versus Hurt Syndicate in this trios match. And that's 7 right there that we know 100% are happening. There's going to be a tag title match with Bro Dito and most likely the Young Bucks, but we'll see. And there's probably going to be a trios match between the Death Riders, the remaining Death Riders, again, facing off against the Ops. That's just what it looks like the story is going to. I don't really see who else the trios title, like who else they would, feud for that. So there's 9 right there that should be on the main card. Then you got the Willow and Statlander and Harley Cameron stuff with like Megan Bayne and all those 8 women that they're, that aren't part of the main event, but are part of that storyline. Stat is in that match, so ignore me mentioning her. I'm trying to think about other storylines going on right now. We'll get into that later on. But Hook and Orange Cassidy, maybe. We'll see. But we'll talk about the show again as Hook talks from a rooftop in front of a big building and talks about how he thanks the Ops for having his back. And he gets it. They had to replace him, which is true. They did. Obviously. But he thinks, it's time for him to stand on his own. Or is it? So we'll see, I think that's going to be, stand with Darby, stand with Orange Cassidy, and Danny Garcia. We'll get into that. As it's now official, Hangman Page versus Kyle Fletcher. It gets announced later on in the show as Don Callis backstage with Kyle Fletcher. To have the match though at All Out, Kyle Fletcher has to wrestle without the Don Callis family. And Fletcher says, I'm good enough to not need them, but they're still my family. And then Don Callis says, the 6'4" machine and 250 pounds He's an animal in the ring. He doesn't need the family. We've trained him. We've mentored him to be as good as he can be. And I still have a red scar on my head. It's still bright red. But yeah, so it's official, and it's going to be 1-on-1, no shenanigans until the ref goes down or gets distracted, and then we'll have our shenanigans. Afterwards, we had our Philly street fight, which yesterday I called a Chicago street fight. Sorry, Philly. Sky Blue from Chicago, who wrestles in Chicago street fights a lot, was wrestling yesterday, in a Philly street fight, and then this was against timeless Tony Storm, the champ, who would pick up the win over Sky Blue. I can't not Jesse Ventura, my Don. I can't not. It slips going down to the Baja. It slips out too easily. I can't help it. Because Don Callis has that distinct way of talking. It's very distinct. I have it for moments. I can't keep back. I'll work on my Don Callis. Because he's one of the funniest promos. He's one of the funny, my dad and I were talking about yesterday while watching the show, is that he is one of the best characters just they have in general. So gotta work on my Don impression. So yeah, this street fight, this was a ton of fun. Big staple heavy match where Sky Blue stapled each butt cheek of Tony Storm, then each titty, and then her cooter. So the whole package. Sorry, Juice. But she's going to be a little bit sore. So, off limits because of staples everywhere. And then, of course, Tony Storm would then staple Sky Blue back in the butt cheek and then in her cooter. So, there you go. There was also kendo stick, and Tony Storm did a big Sandman tribute, which was very cool. But this was a very fun match. There was mouse traps on the outside that Sky Blue got her hand shoved into, and then Tony Storm got power bombed into, which didn't break the table, which Taz was like, or someone on commentary, Danielson actually was like, that hurts more because the table didn't break. It's a worse drop than it breaking and going down to the floor. It's a bit more cushioned, but either way, Tony Storm would win, hit the hip tack. Very fun match. This will be my one match where I'll be like, hey, go seek this out, as this was awesome. My weekly, go watch this match right now. Find it online, either on TSN or on Watch, Daily Motion, wherever you can find this match, watch it, because it was super fun, and you got a hardcore match in Philly on regular television. Jamie Hayter would also come out as Tekla, and Julia Hart would also come out. It would be a big brouhaha, bringing out all the ladies, which is still setting up for that 4-way, which is going to be very good at All Out. Go backstage to Willow Nightingale cutting a little promo, being cheesy and whatnot. Classic Willow Nightingale. We love her for it. And then Harley Cameron comes and tries to win over Willow Nightingale to join the side of her and Statlander, and she says nope. And you better realize that Statlander's trouble, and you shouldn't trust her. And this all came with a Harley Cameron song, Paint a Cat on Your Face. So yeah, there you go. Afterwards, we get the AEW Unified Championship Tournament announced, which I talked about before. The first matches, what are they going to be? First match is going to be Okada versus Michael Oku this Saturday on Collision. It's going to be an amazing match. We're also going to see Takeshita facing off against Anthony Bowens. Takeshita's going to win. Kind of obvious. And then I think it's going to be next week on Dynamite that the Beast Mortos is going to face Mascara Dorada. And so the winners of all those matches will fight for the Unified Championship belt at All Out. Which is weird because Okada's the champion. Why is he not getting an automatic bye? But he has to earn his way just like everyone else, I guess. If he's the champion and he loses to Oku, he's still going to be the champion. But he's not going to wrestle for the championship at All Out. Am I not making sense? Am I not making sense, or is the booking not making sense? Someone help me. Someone help me here, because I'm losing my mind a little. Okay, I'm going to break this down. Even though I just did. I'm just very confused right now. So, Okada, champion. Match at All Out for the championship. To set up match at All Out, 6 men will wrestle. Okay, it's a title match Saturday. Thank you. I was so confused. It does not say title match here. And I'm like, okay. So, Okada is going to be defending the belt Saturday and then defending the belt at All Out because he's going to beat Oku. Yeah, okay. That was, it does, yeah, okay. That makes sense. That makes more sense than what I was thinking. It doesn't, oh, no. Kazuchika Okada would be putting his title on the line. That feels wrong. That feels... You're making this guy defend his championship right before... I mean, I guess that's the spirit of the Continental Belt, is that you're a defending champion in tournaments, and now we have 2 tournaments, so hey, why not? We'll add to, we'll add to the madness. And then, speaking of madness, that sets up our $500,000 10-man tag match as the Death Riders, that's Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, team up with the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, to face off against the World Tag Team Champions, that's Brody King, and Bandito, and the AEW Trios titles, that's Powerhouse Hobbs, Katsuyori Shibata, and of course Samoa Joe. And in this match, the winners of not just the money, but the match, the Young Bucks and the Death Riders. Now, the Bucks would immediately after this match end, book it out of the ring, grab the money, and like start smelling it, and then they got attacked and threw the money a bit, and then booked it out. So they maybe lost 10 grand. But the Bucks got their money, the Death Riders pick up their win, in what was a very fun match as well. There's a lot of guys in this match. There's a lot. The 8-man tags are great. This felt like a Survivor Series match with how just busy and packed it was. Yeah, fun match though. Very, very fun match. Not as good as the women's hardcore match, but very good regardless. Lots of fun dives to the outside. Lots of great work with Powerhouse Hobbs and Brody King being in the ring together. Just the craziest like natural disaster twin tower combo ever. They were unreal. As of course, the end of the match, Bucks win, get their money, and then in the ring, Darby Allin and Mox were all alone fighting it out because Darby Allin comes out. I should have mentioned that. Sorry. Darby Allin comes out to fight the Ops to fight the Death Riders because there's obviously brawling after the match. And so then alone in the ring is Darby Allin and Mox, and a hooded figure comes up and nails Darby from behind. And we're like, oh, Gabe Kidd. And then the hooded figure reveals himself. It's Daniel Garcia turning heel and joining the Death Riders. He's done it. Danny Garcia is done with being good. And I remember in my notes, I wrote what he said. I wrote exactly what he said. It's good is not good enough. Good is not good enough. And a lot of people meant like, oh, he could be talking about being mediocre. But no. He says, that's if I could find it. Yeah, he shoved away Daddy Magic. He didn't turn on Daddy Magic like we all thought he would. But yes, he says, good ain't good enough. He needs change. And there's his change. So, Danny Garcia closes out our show by jumping Darby Allin and aligning himself with the Death Riders. So, that foreshadowing shot at Wrestle Dream last year where it was Garcia and then OC, Hook, and Darby. Garcia is not part of it. He has no part of it. And he's booed with "You sold out" chants, all over the arena. What a shocking way to close the show. My jaw dropped. I'm like, oh, he did it. He actually did it. Awesome episode. I cannot wait for not only Dynamite in London, but All Out in Toronto. Completely agree there, Dad. Very fun episode. Card is shaping up beautifully. AEW, we're the best wrestle. You're damn right. You are damn right. awesome, awesome, awesome show. I can't sing its praises enough. Um, I don't know. I just think AEW is on the hottest streak it's ever been on, and they don't stop ever. They don't stop going. It's unreal what they got going on right now. Um, I love it, and it's one of those things. And I was thinking it last night. I didn't say it out loud while I was watching with my dad, but I was thinking it where I watch a lot of wrestling YouTube, and I watch a lot of classic wrestling reviews and podcasts, and like the Deadlock Pro Retro Syncs, where they just watch and review a classic show, and yeah, great stuff. And I'm thinking to myself that in 10 years, in 20 years, when people look back on this era in wrestling history, and I'm watching the YouTube videos for it because I doubt my taste is going to change that much in 10, 20 years, I'm still probably going to watch YouTube wrestling reviewers. And they're going to talk about this era of wrestling, and I'm going to get to say, I lived through that, and I watched every week. And every time one of those reviewers says something that's wrong, I'll be able to say, no, I was there. I remember. I watched every episode. It's probably very similar to how someone like my dad feels about how wrestling reviewers watch or treat the Attitude Era, because that is special programming that, of course, wrestling reviewers have gushed about endlessly, or stuff from like the late 80s in WWE where they were hot, Hogan at his peak. It's one of those things where people look back on it and gush fondly, and I think this is going to be one of those eras, and I think it's going to be very fun to keep up with it on YouTube in 10, 20 years. Like, I think I'm going to have a ball when I'm just this old, not old man, but, you know, middle-aged man just laying there watching YouTube and reliving these days, because I think these are some of the most special shows that a company has had. And I'm speaking this as someone who kept up with wrestling, kept up with it, didn't watch it avidly, but kept up with wrestling from like 2015 to 2020, and watched wrestling in 2020. I watched the Thunderdome era of WWE. It was not good. Really bad. But I watched because I'm like, it's COVID. What else am I going to do? And that led to AEW. So, and then I watched AEW in COVID. I watched AEW when it was trying to be WWE. And parts of it worked when it was doing that and parts of it didn't. But I feel like AEW is AEW right now at its finest. And it's making Dynamite into just this special property. This show that has an aura about it. A show that makes it impossible for me to schedule anything else for a Wednesday night, because I know I have to watch. It's a cool feeling. So that'll be it for my AEW Dynamite review. Another great episode. I don't really give grades or star ratings or numbers, but this was a 9.5 out of 10. It could have been perfect. I don't know what it could have done better. I don't know. Sure, 10. It was great. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Phenomenal episode. To close out our show, as we only got about 12 minutes left to talk about pretty much everything else I want to talk about, we have, little NFL Thursday night football tonight, and I'm very excited for this game. It's going to be the Washington Commanders facing off against the, Green Bay Packers, who I have being first in the NFC. This game could go either way. I think the Packers are probably going to win. If you're going to do any betting on this game, we'll look at some lines together, in some predictions. My safe bets, Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown score, it's -215. It's not good odds, but I'm so confident he's going to hit because he's the only reliable piece of that Packers offense. And now that I've said that on record, it's not going to hit. So you're welcome. We also have, I like Terry McLaurin going off for 60 plus yards. Plus 60 yards for Terry McLaurin, that's plus 106 on the odds. That boosts it up. If you do that and the Josh Jacobs touchdown, it's plus 187. And then, of course, I love Jane Daniels, not only to rush, but to throw. He has had some wrist issues, but it's said that he should be fully healthy and good to go. So if we're going to be doing that, if we're going to be hitting on Jane Daniels' passing yards, I'm going to stay a modest plus 200. It's -250. It doesn't add too much to the odds, but it boosts it that much more. And then if we're going to add one more thing, just for the odds sake, then we're going to look towards some rushing yards. And we're going to go to Jane Daniels for rushing yards. Because, Austin Eckler and Bill Krosky-Merritt, they're cool, but I don't trust them. I do trust Jane Daniels to get 40 yards. If you do Jane Daniels 40 yards with those other slips, that's plus 432. I think that's doable. I think that's pretty doable. But regardless, I think this should be a super fun game. I doubt the Green Bay defense will, stifle this Washington offense like they did against the Lions, but who's to say they don't? That's why I'm not confident picking any Commanders player for a touchdown. None at all. Because who knows? I mean, the Lions got just destroyed by that Packers defense. They look as legit as I and many others were predicting them to be. And looking at that first game for the Packers, and of course what they allowed the Lions to do, which was nada. 13 points. Isaac Tesla made one of the best catches of the season with a one-handed toe tapper touchdown catch, which was unreal. And then the rest were just 2 field goals. And that's it. Not really what you expect from the Detroit Lions, at least not lately from the Detroit Lions. They've been unreal. But yeah, this game was not it. And then looking at the stats, Jared Goff, 31 for 39, dicing him up in the air, but only 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's it. Like, you would think 31 for 39 would come with a lot more than that, but no, it was just a game where the best thing he could do was getting checkdowns, and then the one shocking touchdown that he did throw. Sammy Laporta, the biggest benefactor of that game, 6 receptions for 79 yards. But guys like Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery, Jameson Williams, all of them had bad games. So, hey, this Packers D might be legit. Might just be legit. Who knows, though? I'm looking forward to this game a lot. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the year. Hopefully. That Washington Commanders defense does look a little rough, and their O-line, like Laramie Tunsil's awful. If we're being honest, he sucks. He can't play. He's going to be fine for maybe like 70% of the snaps, but 30% of the time, he's going to be a detriment to your team just watching the Commanders game and watching their offensive snaps. Horrible. No excuse. I don't get it. And they traded for him. They saw how bad he was with the Texans last year. I don't get it. Shocking to me. So we'll see if that O-line can hold up. We'll see if Jane Daniels has to run for his life. I think he will. But I think he gets over to 200 yards. And regardless, I think this is a super fun game. I'm trying everything in my power not to talk about the Panthers because I want to save that for tomorrow. But we are facing off against the Cardinals, and it better be a better game than that last one. Thinking about that last one makes me want to rip my hair out like this, exactly as you see. Because there were so many fixable mistakes, and I'm sure it's something that I guess like Chiefs fans could vouch for. They're a bit of a better team, but they also had a lot of fixable mistakes. We're a bad team, but we also had fixable mistakes. So are we gonna fix them? Find out Sunday. The big things I'm looking for is that obviously let's not let James Conner, 30-year-old James Conner, rush on us like a maniac, like Etienne did. Although Etienne, no touchdown, which is kind of shocking to me because he had so many yards. And this is something where it's like, I gotta be honest with you guys. I might be wrong. I might have been wrong in my predictions. I had the 12-5 Jaguars winning that division. I think they're frauds now. I really do. I think that game against the Panthers is gonna make people think that they're way better than they are. They only scored 26. Like, we're gonna be real with each other. They could have scored 40. They should have scored 40. It should have been worse. We held them to field goals when they should have been getting touchdowns. And we only allowed I think 2? No, I think it was 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Should have been worse. Only 5 drives they scored on all game. And when they had 10, 11 drives. Yeah, I'll take it. And that just shows me that this Jaguars team is not good. Not good. We didn't we pressured Trevor Lawrence 5 times all game, and he was not good. Um, like he never got sacked, only got pressured 5 times, and they were all from the same side. And yet, with all of those, things going his way, he went 19 for 31 for 178 yards with a passing touchdown and an interception. 4 carries for 12 rushing yards. That was it. It's not a good game. That is not a good game. Brian Thomas Jr. had 1 reception for 11 yards, had 1 jet sweep for 9 yards and a touchdown. 20 yards total. Brenton Strange was their best guy, 4 receptions, 59 yards. De'Ami Brown, 3 receptions, 58 yards. Travis Hunter, 6 receptions, 33 yards. We held them good. Tank Bigsby, 5 carries, 12 yards. Bashal Toon, 3 carries, 11 yards. I'm not we just couldn't stop Etienne. 16 carries for 143 rushing yards with 156 total yards. 170-yard run that, I wish we could take back. But other than that, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned. And everyone's so doomer on this Panthers team. I guess I'm talking about the Panthers. Everyone's so doomer on this Panthers team, and Bryce Young especially, where I'm 3 or 4 mistakes. That's it. If 3 or 4 things went the other way, which is very doable, you can very easily have 3 or 4 things go your way instead of not your way in any given Sunday, then we potentially win. At least make it close. There were 2 instances in this game where we went for it on 4th down in field goal territory. And in both of those instances, it would have been a 1-score game had we just taken the field goal. Either a 1 or a 2-score game if we had just taken the field goal. And we didn't. We wanted to score all the points. We wanted to, really be in the game. We didn't want it to be a 1-score game. We wanted it to be a 1 field goal game a lot of the time, which wasn't very doable, sadly. But if these things go better, if those field goals, we kick those field goals instead of, going for it on 4th down, then it's a 26-16 loss. That looks a lot better on the box score. That makes people a lot less doomer on this team. Bryce Young should have led 4 separate scoring drives that game. He only did 2, but it should have been 4. And if better play calling, if better, things went our way, could have been 3 touchdown drives and a field goal, but it wasn't. It wasn't. At the end of the day, what happened. We got to make the mistakes that we made fixable. We got to know what they were, target them, fix them. Dave Canales has got to get mean. He cannot be, nice, God-fearing Dave Canales. We need the devil coaching this team, and we need to whip them into shape. We got to get back to how this team was playing to end last year. I think they will. So Cardinals game, it's going to be a big test. If we can, come out and play this game good. I'm not even asking for a win. I just want a good game. Score 20 plus points. That's all I ask. I think they'll be good. I think that they're going to rebound huge personally, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Oh, I guess I should give a prediction. I think the Packers are going to win tonight, and they're going to win 21-17. It's going to be a close game, but it's going to come down to the last drive of the game. The Commanders aren't going to be able to do it, and they're going to turn the ball over on downs, as they're going to go for it on 4th and 13. So we'll see how that ages. Right at the end of the sports hour, of course, tomorrow we'll have to, come back, review how that prediction ages. Because, we could be wrong. We could be very wrong. I really think the touchdowns are going to come from a random receiving touchdown from someone, and then maybe 2 Josh Jacobs touchdowns. And then, who knows from the Commanders? Who knows? Either way, should be a super fun game. We'll be talking about more tomorrow, and we'll get into even more Panthers talk than I just did. So look forward to it, because I know I am. Every single day, Monday through Friday. Schedule might be changing as I might be getting a regular job that isn't doing this every day. So we'll see. But for now, Monday through Friday, 12:15 to 1:15. This has been Curtis Collings presenting the Sports Hour.